Good afternoon and welcome to the latest edition of the Battlestar Galactica franchise documentary. I'm delighted to be joined by Rekha Sharma, to talk about her time in Battlestar Galactica as Jodie Foster. Rekha.
Sorry, it's Tory Foster.
Tory Foster, apologies. Tory Foster.
Mispronunciation
there.
Foster. She's another thing.
Tory Foster, my apologies. Reika, it's almost been like a decade now or more since you were on set in Battlestar Galactica. Does it feel that long, or does it feel almost like yesterday?
It's kind of both for me with time like that. Like sometimes it feels like it was a million years ago. And then it's interesting, you know, when you go back and watch it or something, and it's like, it's both at the same time. Like I remember how it feels like in my body, like it was yesterday. And yet, you know, we were all just a bunch of kids. Yeah.
And Reika, how did the opportunity come about for you to get cast in Battlestar Galactica? Were you did you go through the auditioning process? Did your did your casting agent recommend you for the role, or how did you get involved in terms of the character Tory Foster?
Yeah, I went through the traditional casting process, had an audition. Actually, Tory Foster was the third audition that I had for the show.
Okay.
The first one was for a nugget, to play a nugget. Okay. And I just had a really great experience in the room with the director and the producer. And I remember talking to my friend afterwards going, wow, there was something really special. I think these people might be making something cool, or cool people anyway. I thought, yeah, I want to work on this show, and it wasn't a right fit. So then they brought me back to play a captain.
Yeah.
And again, it was like we had a great connection in the room, but, you know, again, it wasn't quite the right fit. And then when I got the material for Tory Foster, I thought, oh, this is the one. I thought it was a good fit. I was excited about it. It was a little more meaty than the other two roles. It had something more to it, you know? And so put my best foot forward, and I guess it worked.
Yeah, you mentioned there, Reika, I've tried out for other parts before you found Tory Foster, and that seems to be a common theme. I was speaking to Grace Park, and she actually went for the role of Starbuck before she got Boomer. So in terms of that, it seems to be a recurring sort of theme. And were you involved in season 1 from the off, or did you come in season 2 or season 3?
I came in season 2. Yeah,
you came in season 2, and obviously the show was in a year for season done. How did you find it coming in season 2, meeting Edward Olmos and for the first time, and Michael Hogan, and sort of the mainstay James Callis, and the sort of mainstay established actors? As you mentioned, it was a young sort of crew, but they were probably 3 of the most experienced actors on set.
Yeah, I mean, meeting Edward James Olmos was pretty exciting. I've been a huge fan of Blade Runner since I was a kid. I watched it when I shouldn't have been watching it. It was so violent and so intense of a movie, and but it was one of those movies that whatever was on the television, I couldn't stop. I had to watch it. Whatever I was doing, I had to just stop and watch it. So it was pretty cool to meet him. Mary McDonnell's work, I wasn't sure who she was when I got to set, and because I don't look people up before or anything like that. But I thought she looked familiar, and then I realized she was the mom in Donnie Darko. And honestly, that first day of shooting with her was one of the greatest experiences I've ever had on a set. She's just a wonderful, generous artist. We had so much fun playing off of each other. I I didn't even realize she was an Academy Award winning actress. But I knew it was the best acting experience I'd ever had on set. And then, of course, finding that out later on was like, well, of course. It was amazing. And then meeting James Callis, I sort of met people here and there, and then you get to know them a bit more as you start working with them. Some of them were already friends. Like the only thing I knew about the show before I started working on the show, the only thing I knew about the show was that Grace was in it. We knew each other from just the Vancouver acting scene, and I was just happy that one of my friends was, gainfully employed. But I had no idea that the show was so incredible. I thought it was just some sort of cheesy remake of a cheesy show from the 70s. I didn't know. But I remember doing my first scene with James Callis, which was in season 3.
Yeah.
And I'd never acted with a real comedic improvisational actor before, and it was thrilling. I had so much fun working with James. I'll never forget it. I thought, wow, it could be like this. Yeah.
And Reika, just speaking to Michael Trusio earlier on, he told me the first time he arrived on the set, it was so big, it was like an airplane hangar, the way it was designed. I asked him, did he get lost? And he said, yes, he did get lost trying to get around. What was it like for you in terms of walking onto that sort of set? Obviously, a big sort of production. Was it a bit daunting given the volume, the sheer size of it?
That's one thing, like, as I said, I hadn't looked up, and I don't look people up before I go to set if I happen to know who they are. And I didn't look up the show, and I'm so grateful I didn't, because I didn't understand the scope of the show. And I think if I had, I would have been much more nervous in my first day. As far as the set, I kind of lucked out because Colonial 1 is a little more contained. It wasn't, I mean, the Battlestars, like, yeah, you can totally get lost in there. It's a maze. And I did get lost, but thankfully it wasn't on my first day.
And I suppose, Reika, you started off in terms of being on the Sci-Fi Channel, a weekly show. You gathered in 3 million viewers. You were topping Star Trek in terms of your viewers, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, I think, at the time for your sort of viewers. But the show, obviously, at the time was very popular. But in terms of the remakes, in terms of the box set, the DVDs, the people seeing it, again, it's gone global in terms of all over the world, from Brazil to Argentina to Spain. There you've voiceovers in terms of it's dubbed in so many different languages now, so many different million viewers, that even when the show had finished airing on the Sci-Fi Channel, it got picked up by so many different other networks for remakes and reruns, and obviously box sets that different generations and maybe listeners that sometimes weren't even born when the original series was on TV became big fans and sort of cult following.
Yes. Sorry, was there a question? I agree.
Were you sort of taken back by the global sort of appeal, even out of the show outside Canada or America?
I think, yeah, in the beginning, I was, as I said, I didn't understand the scope, the size of the show. And, by the time the show finished and I learned more about it, and, we won a Peabody Award, and Eddie kept telling us that this show was going to be one of the greatest things that ever happened in our lives, because he had experience, right? He had been in the industry. He said, in 40 years of working, I've never experienced this. He said, we're going to know each other forever. This is a family. He said, this doesn't happen. And I thought he was exaggerating.
Okay.
And it's over a decade later, like you said, and we are a family. He was absolutely right. I didn't expect that. I did expect, after seeing how good the show was, it doesn't surprise me that it's made it all over the world. I didn't think that it would go on for this long. I had no idea that that would happen. But it was just so well done.
And Reika, about your character Tory now, I suppose intentions to try, obviously she was outed at the end in terms of the big outing, the sort of big reveal, and in terms of being a Cylon, but there were so many sort of good scenes throughout the series. Obviously your encounter with Callie in terms of the child and that sort of scenes there, and sort of emotional sort of storyline, and obviously it probably laid the seeds in people's head to say, obviously, oh, watch this character, there might be something coming down further down the line. It sort of showed a sort of, dare I say, a bit of a sinister touch.
Yeah, that was definitely an unexpected trajectory, but when you look back, you go, right?
Yeah.
It's together. Sorry, did you have a specific question about it? Or?
I was just saying, Reika, in terms of that, in terms of your character or her evolution throughout the series, it was growing to a crescendo in terms that you almost felt that something big was going to be revealed about her.
I mean, I didn't expect it, certainly, when I started the job. I had no idea. I had just come on to do a couple of episodes in season 2, and I remember Michael Reimer, one of the directors and producers on the show, one of our very main directors on the show, he said, "You're going to come back." I thought, okay. And he said it so confidently. I thought, well, we'll see. But he was right. So I thought, okay, well, I still have a job, season 3. And then it got bigger, season 4. I was thrilled with the plot twist. All of a sudden, my job became far more interesting.
And that season 4, I suppose, were you, obviously Ron Moore and his writing and the expert sort of scripts, were you aware for a while in terms of the big reveal? And I suppose the terms of privacy then did you know who the others were going to be as Cylons as well? Or was it just this big reveal for all of you was a big surprise when you looked around and when you saw, right, Aaron Douglas is going to be a Cylon, Michael Hogan's going to be a Cylon, I'm a Cylon. Did it catch you all by surprise, or what was the general reaction in the room?
Absolutely, it caught us all by surprise. You know, we had the script. I can't remember what the timeline was. I would say maybe a week or 2 at best before we shot it. And there was a lot of talk. There was some people were angry, some people were confused. We were all wondering if it was some kind of ruse or if they were going to change it. And not until we shot the scene where we come together in the gym and discover did we know. And throughout the show, nobody knew. So it was wonderful because we all, in that world playing those characters, we were all wondering, am I going to be a Cylon? Like, it made it more real, because none of us knew.
And tell me about sort of Ron Moore and his sort of interactions with him. I suppose a real sort of an envisionary with a masterful sort of a mind. And was he always one that always kept you guessing and kept you on your toes?
I mean, it was there in the writing that kept you guessing and on your toes, but in this wonderful, just exciting way. I always felt, very supported by Ron, by his presence. He was always clear about where he was going with it. It felt like he knew what he was doing. He really respected all the artistry from everyone, from the crew to the cast, to the writers, directors. He really gave everyone, I believe, a chance to give their best. He didn't try to cramp anybody's style, and I think that really contributed to why the show was so good. So his presence always was less about keeping us on their toes. I mean, the story did that plenty.
Yeah.
It was more like feeling like, you know what, this guy's got my back. He's doing something cool and he believes in me.
And Reika, last sort of question now before I let you go. And I always finish off with this question, probably a difficult one to sort of summarize. But if they put your character, Tory Foster, and they put her in a Battlestar Galactica dictionary, and they left 2 blank sentences underneath, and they asked you, Rekha Sharma, in terms of your portrayal as Tory Foster, to write those 2 sentences, what would you like those 2 sentences to read to sum up Tory Foster?
Oh my goodness. That's a great question. I don't know. I'm probably going to want to change it later, but let's see what I come up with right now. I'll say Tory Foster, a woman who was, you know, brave enough to make tough decisions in the most frightening war that the universe has ever seen, whose life was completely shattered by finding out that she was, in fact, the enemy that she'd been fighting. Something like that.
On that note, Rekha Sharma, an absolute pleasure talking to you this evening to relive your memories of playing Tory Foster in Battlestar Galactica. A pleasure, and hopefully 2021, once we're out of this current pandemic, will be a prosperous one for you with many more projects in the pipeline, and no doubt hopefully we'll have you back on here someday again. Rekha, an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much, Jim.
Thank you.
All mine.